for being here today. Do you hear me quite well, or at least well enough?
I can hear you well, Lorenzo.
Okay.
And I suspect that everyone also hears you well. If this is not the case, the rest of the attendees can just send a message, and
Okay.
I will try to sort it out. But I think that everyone hears you correctly.
Okay, that's very good. This we will try to go through an event that happened in 2014. Uh, Unfortunately, in Italy, there's not a lot of records related to operational plans put into place or tactical activities arranged in case of disaster, apart from the institutional recordings. So what we'll try to do is to give you some information about the regional situation, and then with you go through the response plan, so the civil protection plan and the response elements related to that plan. And then we will try to make an analysis saying, okay, is that good enough? Or there is a need to have something more? What's the advantage to have an emergency management software that can support decision making, but also to better visualize all the elements been put into the plan. First of all, okay, sorry. So sorry for that. Let me check. Okay. Anyway, the first point is to take a look at what happened in Chiavari. Google has have a very good new tools called Google Earth Engine, and there is a lot of interesting material there, especially if we're going to use the code editor interface. So there's a possibility to really search imagery in the past, coming from, and not only imagery, I mean a lot of satellite assets and satellite imagery products are available there. So this was the real picture of Chiavari and Entella area. There's the red circle in more or less the middle of the picture of 10 and 11 October 2014, when there was a very big meteorological situation all above Liguria region. That is the small green arch that is beneath the cloud layer. This is a region in Italy that is bordering with France and with the Mediterranean Sea at south. So we're talking about western Italy. The Entella River is not a huge river. So we're talking about 8.4 square kilometers. So 8.4 kilometers of length of the river. And I don't know if you can see my pointer. Do you see my pointer?
Sorry, Lorenzo, which point do you mean?
Do you see my pointer? Do you see my?
Yes. Yeah, we can see the pointer of your mouse. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I mean the Entella River starts from here and have this spot. Okay, so it's not a long river, but here, just above my mouse pointer, there are 3 other small river going together, all involved in what has been one of the biggest emergency in GDP during the last 30 years. So, due to heavy rain, all Lavagna and Skora River started to flood. And then, of course, Entella River received a lot of water and flooded, but only in this area. So it wasn't causing very much damages here around, but it causes, of course, the trigger of all the alert and emergency response system in Chiavari and Lavagna. Entella River here is covering 5 different districts or 5 different town halls with 5 different mayors with 5 different emergency response plans. So one of the big elements there is not only to talk about the interaction and the use of a unique platform to manage a single town emergency plan, but to work together with different emergency plans. Entella River flood wasn't a huge thing in terms of if you're talking about the Entella River alone. Because in the end, the Entella River flooded at the estuary, causing more or less no damages. So it flooded this area and more or less this area, where more or less nobody lived there, and flooded a little bit this part without causing no major damages in Chiavari. There are different elements to consider here. First of all, in emergency planning, of course, we have to consider the landscape and the environment at whole. So one of the elements that we have to consider is that sometimes there's part of the habitat that are defined as site of community importance. So this, especially according to the European Commission Habitat Directive. And all this final part, so from more or less here to here of the Entella River, all these areas considered according to that directive. So there's no possibility to make a lot of works and to drain too much the river, because this can cause major trouble to the direct habitat of the river and to the habitat of the sea in front of it. Why I'm telling you this? Because we are talking about a plan that is focusing on 371 square kilometers, and the Entella River Basin is considered for this area a large size basin. This works in Liguria, where we have no major river there. Of course, there's nothing to do with big water basins like the Po River or Adige River around Italy, or even bigger in the huge water basins like Danube in Europe. Of course, the plan is mainly focusing on meteorological and hydrometeorological hazard, even if this part of the Italy is also subject to seismic hazard, but we will see a little bit later. So, first of all, we have to consider that the plan itself, and when I talk about the plan, I'm talking about the contingency plan drafted by the town hall as part of the prevention and preparedness measures of the town hall itself. The plan underlined that between 1900 and 1994, about 12 floods happened. But there are no other records apart from that. So there are no specific information, no plans, nor I don't want to say lesson learned, but at least report regarding this. Especially because so after 1960, 1970, in Italy, civil protection were existing. So not as we know today, but it was there. So this is, according to the Chiavari plan, the potential flooded area of the Entella. The Entella start from here. So this this map is also covering Lavagna and other Stura and other rivers. And here you have the 5 different tunnels. The other thing is we are only looking at Chiavari tunnel plan because it's the only one that is the only tunnel that definitely been in somehow involved in or directly involved in Entella River flood. What we have to underline here is the Italian civil protection system works based on subsidiarity. So the process is bottom up. We have a bottom-up approach where the mayor is the first civil protection authority. Then we move to the prefect or to the president of the or the president of the province in some particular provinces in Italy. Then to the region, then to the nation. But of course, for this kind of small event, everything is managed at mayor level. So the local emergency operations center at town hall level, according to the Italian regulation, is managed in, so is divided in clusters in what we call it functions, but are more or less similar to the cluster of the UN cluster system. We don't use incident command system at town hall or institutional emergency operations center, but we use incident command system at advanced command post level or forward command post level. That's because this function you see here are both covering the planning phase and the response phase, but also the administrative activity. And these are all their work is to support the mayor to take strategic and governance decision more than the incident command system approach that is more related to the tactical and operational level. That's at least how we envisage it. So the Italian Red Cross in Chiavari plan is inside health and logistics. So the support provided by the Italian Red Cross is mainly related to emergency medical services and somehow some logistic support for transferring goods or distributing meals. So, and all the other functions are managed by different organizations or part of the town hall. This is our Entella River. So I mean, as you can see, this is important part. This is where Chiavari is. This is where the biggest town is. This is where Lavagna is. So what is for the plan part of the river? All this. Also, because if you're talking about Chiavari town hall, you see we're going to look only at this part. This is the county border, town hall border. So the jurisdiction of this plan start from, and the most populated part is this one. I think that using the Entella River, more than the flood itself, but the plan that is behind, as an example, can we to think about the information you really need in case of saying, okay, find all the information about condition, where I can find information about the hazard in plan quickly, where I can find information about the population. I mean, uh, we're talking about a small town, so how many disabled people I have in town? How many people that cannot leave home because they are maybe they need oxygen, for example, or they cannot walk, I have in town. What are the responders? How many assets I have? Or what kind of plan there are? The scenarios are only descriptive scenario according to the potential situation. Fine, but what's the potential plan I have in place? What the potential? Which are the potential action that the single functions has to have? So, I mean, in terms of SOP, applying the SOP. I mean, we have an SOP, but we have not, that is not linked to anybody. So that's what is, what can be at least, what's the support that can be provided by Heimdall. So consider that most of the tunnel have similar plans. Consider that the plans are normally printed, and consider that the plans are not so much tested by the majority of the tunnel, just because fortunately there are not so many small scale disasters. So the support of a decision making software, of a decision support system software, and the support provided by a software that can in real time or more or less real time provide you a simulation of what can happen. I think it's more valuable than to have a lot of printed papers with written a lot of things, but that nobody will ever read in peace in quick time or during the reference phase. There's not a criticism about the plan. I mean, the plan is made like that because it is us to to do the plan in that way. We have guidelines at national level. They're suggesting how to prepare a plan. On the other side, I think that in 2019, plan can be a lot more direct and a lot more interact. So I finished. I hope I talked a lot. I talked too much, as ever. So I don't know if you have questions, if you have some more, if you need some more information, I'm here.
Well, thank you very much, Lorenzo, for your presentation. Yeah, it certainly was a bit too long, but anyway, if you require that time, that's fine. Let me say that I think that having this presentation was very convenient, since next week we are having the end user workshop 4 of the HEIMDALL project, in which we will test the new capabilities of the HEIMDALL system in using the Entella River floods case. So it was a good way to have an introduction about the study case that on which the user workshop will be based. So thank you for that, Lorenzo. Also, I think that the presentation has allowed us to have a closer approach about how a flood-specific emergency is managed in Italy. You have given us a lot of detailed information about the emergency plan in Italy. Thank you again, Lorenzo, for giving this talk. I think that I'll see you next week in Denmark.
No, you'll see colleagues of mine from Central Italy Response Center is Simon Mondini. Is one of our emergency manager. He will be there. I will be in Brussels, unfortunately.
Sure. Okay. So thank you very much for this introduction to the Entella River floods. And well, I'm closing here this webinar. Thank you also to all the attendees for getting involved in this webinar. Hope that you enjoyed it. And as I said at the beginning, this is part of a series of HEIMDALL webinars, and we will be organizing new ones within the next few months. Okay, thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye.